Okay, my presentation is over Anne Hutchinson. She was born July 20th, 1591, and she died in 1643. Okay, her maiden name was Anne Marbury, and she was born in Alford, Lincolnshire, England. She grew up during the persecution of the Catholics and separatists under Elizabeth and James I. She married William Hutchinson on August 9th, 1612, and they had 15 children together. They eventually moved and lived in the Massachusetts Bay Colony, and she led the life of a trusted midwife and mother. She started a women's group and was banished from the colony in 1638 and was killed by Indians in 1643. She kind of repeated history because her father was a deacon at Christ Church and had been in prison for a year for his outspoken criticism of certain Church of England ministers. She liked the preachings of John Cotton, who was a Puritan minister, and when she started the women's group, her meetings began as intellectual conversations, but the women greatly enjoyed them because they were about topics women were never included in. Soon, Anne's weekly meetings took on a new importance as they transformed into heated discussions about the church and state, mostly because Hutchinson believed they had begun to practice the covenant of works in the church. She denied that conformity with the religious laws was a sign of godliness and insisted that true godliness came from inner experience of the Holy Spirit. The nature of Anne's criticism of the church revolved around their idea of salvation by works or deeds, but Anne believed in salvation by grace and that you couldn't prepare to be saved. Anne's meetings quickly became extremely controversial, and her teachings were considered an attack on the rigid moral and legal codes of the Puritans of New England, as well as the authority of the Massachusetts clergy. They threatened the political stability of the colony, and her people that didn't support her said that she was questioning the church and also questioning the state. Her ideas were called antinomianism, which was the belief that Christians are not bound by moral law, and her followers became known as antinomians, which was kind of an insult. The people that called her that didn't call her that to be nice. And in November, John Winthrop and his supporters filed charges against Anne, and she was put on trial before a meeting of the General Court. Intending to prove that Anne's behavior was immoral, John Winthrop accused her of breaking the Fifth Commandment by not honoring her father and mother, and her father and mother was referring to the magistrates of the colony. Anne Hutchinson was charged with several charges on the basis that she committed acts allegedly not fitting for her sex and was eventually exiled. And then here's my video on a quick history overview of her.